Hi guys, a little video to help you print out your spreadsheets for your final versions. So as you know, you need to print out your spreadsheet in entirety in two different ways. First way is in normal view to show off all your formatting and show how it's all laid out and make it look beautiful. The second type of printout will be formula view, which is just purely showing us where the formulas are, what the formulas are in full. And those ones are not meant to be pretty in any way. They just are really functional. We just want to see your formulas and we need you to show us where they are on the sheet. So there's two different types of printouts to do. So the first printout is going to be normal view. So we'll start off with that one. Okay, the first thing we need to do to print out normal view is to make sure that all our pages have got headers and footers. So we're going to go into the page layout tab and then into page setup here. Headers and footers, custom header containing your name, in the footer you can have obviously center number, and then you can use some of these icons to insert file name and sheet numbers, sheet name, things like that. Page, off pages, so if you print over more than one page it's quite obvious what you're doing. So you can use some of the features to make sure that it's really obvious what you're doing. So you'll need to do your headers and footers for each of your pages. You won't be able to see it on the screen as it is, but when you go into print preview you'll be able to see the headers and footers. Next step is to make sure, where possible, that your printouts fit to one page. So we always set height and width to start with to one page by one page, and that will automatically shrink the sheet onto one page. You might find once we've done all the other bits that we need to have it over 2 pages, but for now we'll try it over 1 page. Next thing is you can also select an area that you wish to print by highlighting and then going to set print area. This will guarantee that only the area that you highlighted will print. Also we want to change orientation possibly. I'll leave mine as landscape for now, see how it looks. So we've set the page height and width, you've done your headers and footers, you've highlighted and then you've set the print area and you've done the orientation, and then you can check print preview. I've got the print preview up in here in my quick access toolbar. If you haven't, it's quite easy. You just click on the small arrow and put it up there. It just saves a couple of mouse strokes, so you can put it in here and go straight to print preview. And as you can see, it's all organized, it's all over one page only, and that's showing off that page quite nicely. So I'd be happy for that to be printed. Okay, so I'm going to make the assumption that you've printed all your sheets now in normal view and that you're ready to go on to the formula view. So the first step that I would suggest is that you save all of those settings that you've just been doing. So you've saved all your print areas, etc. So that's all nicely saved, and now I'm going to save my spreadsheet with a slightly different name. And I'm going to call it Formula View, because when you do Formula View printouts you get rid of all the nice stuff like charts and graphs and background colours and stuff. So I'm going to save it as a completely separate spreadsheet before I get started. Okay, so there it is started. I'm going to show my formulas to start with, like that. And on the keyboard what you do is you hold down the control key and then you press the key which is just below escape, just next to the number 1. So hold down control and hold down what's called the pipe key, which is to the left of the number 1, and just below escape, and that's a quick way of showing formulas. And as you can see, my formulas are now showing. Formulas and functions are all there. What I would suggest you do is click on this button here, which is the Select All button, and that highlights the entire spreadsheet. And now double click in between any of your column headers, which will make sure that all the columns are auto widened, so we can now see any long formulas in full. And that's really important, because when these are printed out, if the examiner cannot see your formulas, then they won't be able to mark them, so they've got to see them in full. All these cells here have just got numbers or whatever in, and I don't really need to see those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the areas where there are no formulas and functions. Perhaps I'll do it from there. I'm just going to squeeze those up, because those aren't really relevant for what we want to do. That one can go as well. So tuck all those away, because what we're really interested in are all these formulas and functions that you've been working on. So that's the first step. Next step is I would redo my print area. So I'm going to highlight just the area where the formulas and functions are. I don't need to see all the buttons and anything nice, it's just formulas and functions. So I'm going to reset my print area. Next job, just check height and width of one page by one page. Again, that might have to change for your formula views. And orientation is still landscape. Now I'm going to go into page setup again. This is where you did your headers and footers previously, and they'll still be there. The sheet tab is the next thing to look at, which is here. And we want to select, make a note of this please, grid lines, black and white, and row and column headings. So the grid lines, literally put the grid lines back onto your printout. Black and white gets rid of all your background colours, because we don't want to see those on formula view. And row and column headings will make sure the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s are appearing on your printouts, which is to make sure that we know that your formulas are actually in the right place and doing their job. So I'm going to click on OK now and head into print preview. So as you can see here in print preview, these are my row and column headers showing ABCs 1, 2, 3s. Grid lines are on, and I can see all my formulas and functions in full. And that's going to be fine to be printed out just like that, because that's big enough to be read. So that's my first one done. So I'm going to save that, and that's ready to print. Alright, I thought we'd just do that one more time. Here's a different sheet. Got charts and graphs on here. Don't need those for formula view, so they can just be deleted, because you remember we've saved it as a different name, so it doesn't matter what we do. I'm going to put my formulas on, and as you can see we've got some quite long formulas and functions. Let me just auto widen again. So there's a nice long one, and there's a long one here as well. Let's pull that open a bit. So same sort of process as before. We're going to just narrow away some of the columns which aren't required for the printout, so we can hide away a little bit of those labels, trying to create as much space as possible for the printout. I've got a few more formulas in here hidden away. Let's just put those in. Here we go. So that column can be narrowed a little bit. Okay, so it looks like all the formulas and functions are shown in full. So I'm going to just check what I've got. So it's page height and width 1 by 1 at the moment. I'm going to zip into page setup here. Headers and footers are already done. Into the sheet tab, and we're showing grid lines, black and white, and row and column headings. So that's all ready for the formula view. So let's look at print preview. Okay, this is going to be far too small when it's printed. I'm not going to be able to read that to be able to mark it. So just be aware that if you printed that out, it wouldn't be able to be read, therefore would not be marked, and you'd lose any marks that were available. So you have to produce your evidence really carefully. So let's just go back into the spreadsheet a second. I'm just going to set up my print area a little better. And this time, if I choose to select 2 pages wide by 1 page high, let's see if that's made any significant difference. And yes, it has. Now I can see my concatenate in full and all the others in full here. And on page 2, my long formula here is showing, and all the others are also showing in full. So sometimes you will have to do it over 2 pages for your formulas, and this is where it's useful to put page of pages, because I can see now there are 2 pages to this sheet, page 1 of 2, page 2 of 2, and if you remember, that was in your custom footer area where I used these 2 icons. So it's worthwhile doing that, and then your marker or the examiner or moderator will know that there's another sheet with more evidence on. So that would be okay to print. That's all good to go. Nice and full and big enough for everyone to read.